Approaching the Iliad, the epic and the Homeric tradition. Objectives. The Iliad is an ancient poem written in the Greek language. It was composed by the Greek poet Homer. The Iliad was composed around the 8th century BC. This makes the poem almost 3,000 years old. Introduction. The Iliad deals with events of the final weeks of the Trojan War, a war that had lasted for 10 years. If you recall, the Mahabharata, the ancient Indian epic, deals with 18 days of the Kurukshetra war. The Ramayana also devotes its main story to the last year of Rama's 14 years of exile when he fights with Ravana to restore Sita from Ravana's kingdom of Lanka. In the Iliad, the war is between the Greeks and the Trojans, triggered by the abduction of Helen by the Trojan prince Paris. Helen was the wife of Menelaus, the brother of Agamemnon, the Greek commander. We can see a parallel in the Ramayana where the war between Rama and Ravana was similarly triggered by the abduction of Sita by the demon king. Similarly, the Mahabharata war was between the Pandavas and the Kauravas following a cry of revenge by Draupadi for the attempt at disrobing her by the Kauravas. The story of the Iliad. The Trojan War was waged against the city of Troy by the Achaeans, after Paris of Troy took Helen from her husband Menelaus, the king of Sparta. The war is one of the most important events in Greek mythology. 9 years after the start of the Trojan War, the Greek army captures Chryse, a town allied with Troy. Two beautiful Trojan maidens, Chryses and Briseis, are taken as war booty, one by Agamemnon and the other by his deputy Achilles, who is the greatest among the Greek warriors. Chryses' father offers a huge ransom to Agamemnon for the return of his daughter, but Agamemnon refuses to give back the fair maiden he has won as his prize from the spoils of war. The father Chryses, who serves as a priest to the god Apollo, prays to him to punish the Greeks by sending a plague to sweep through the Greek army. Agamemnon learns that Chryses is the cause of the plague that has killed many of his soldiers and decides to return her to her father. Then he demands from Achilles, his second in command, the latter's prize booty, Briseis. Agamemnon makes his claim for Briseis on the grounds that as the commander of the Greek army, he is entitled to have her. Achilles is furious over Agamemnon's attack on his personal honor and refuses to participate further in the war. Angry and vengeful, he prays to his mother Thetis to seek the help of the supreme god Zeus to destroy the Greeks who are already losing the battle without his services. With Zeus supporting the Trojans and Achilles refusing to fight, the Greeks suffer great losses. When defeat becomes imminent, Achilles, out of concern for his Greek army, asks his friend Patroclus to fight the Trojans. But in the battle, Hector, the Trojan hero, slays Patroclus. When Achilles discovers that Hector is the slayer of his friend, he is overwhelmed with grief and anger, and he agrees to reconcile with Agamemnon and rejoin the battle. Achilles, the unrivaled Greek warrior, kills every Trojan who stands in his way and finally kills Hector, with the help of the goddess Athena. He drags Hector's body tied to the back of his chariot across the battlefield to the Greek camp. Lord Zeus feels that Hector deserves a hero's burial and sends the god Hermes to escort Hector's father, Priam, to the enemy camp and plead with Achilles for the return of his son's body, to give him a fitting hero's burial. Priam tearfully requests Achilles for his son's body. Achilles relents and returns Hector's corpse to the Trojans. Both sides agree to a temporary truce, and Hector receives a hero's funeral in Troy. Approaching the Iliad. The best way to approach the Iliad is by reference to the two Indian epics we had earlier cited, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. It is easy to see the parallel between Arjun Karna and Achilles Hector, as both pairs are well-matched warriors of great repute. This can also be seen in the Rama-Ravana duel in the Ramayana, where both are equally matched warriors. The only difference is in the Greek poem. The gods are in the foreground with the warriors and dictate the outcome, while in the Indian epics only men fight, while the gods stay in the background and do not directly participate in it. For example, Lord Krishna never wielded a weapon to fight the Kauravas. His role was to be the mentor of the Pandavas and Arjun in particular.